Are you looking for an internet talk radio station for your podcast? Look no further. At the helm of Passionate World Talk Radio are two women that want to provide a spot for you and your podcast to be heard. There are many other places for your podcast, but PWTR has the audience. You will not be disappointed. Our station has been on the internet for the past 16 years. Call us for more information. 484-364-1032 or text Jeannie White, station manager at THECONNECTSHOW@gmail.com for podcast show details.
This episode of the Energy Stoners Cafe is sponsored by Passionate World Talk Radio and Lillian Caldwell. PassionateWorldTalkRadio.com.
Welcome to Passionate World Talk Radio. Educate, enlighten, entertain.
This episode is an excerpt from my public access TV show, Talk with TQ. Welcome to the Energy Stoners Cafe. My name is Toni Quest, and I'm really happy that you're here. I like to interview the most interesting people I can find on the planet. So grab a cup of coffee, sit down, relax, and listen. You're going to find that these guests are so intriguing, you'll wonder why you didn't know about them before. Welcome to Energy Stoners Cafe. I'm so happy today because I'm celebrating the 100th episode of this particular podcast. The Energy Stoners Cafe has interviewed so many people from all walks of life. I especially love interviewing artists. For the 100th episode, I am so pleased to present Daisy Joplin. She is a jazz and classical fusion violinist. I've seen her perform many, many times. It's not just her music. When she plays the violin, it is a performance. And I'm really looking forward to interviewing her tonight. She's not just a musician. She is a performer. And it's almost like the violin is an appendage of her soul. Those are my words. I don't know if she would agree with that. The show that I saw was called Irradiance. And I'm going to ask her about that. It was fantastic. I'm going to also talk to her about some other things that you may or may not know about her. Specifically, I want to talk to her about her Music Foundation for Children and some other charities that she's involved with. So she makes it not only about herself, she's someone that gives back to the community by taking what she knows and trying to empower other people. So Daisy, welcome to the show. We finally made this happen.
I'm so happy to be here, so honored. Thank you, Toni.
It's my pleasure, and it was an honor for me to actually get into your very busy schedule. Now, from what I understand, you just got back from Egypt.
I did. I was 3 weeks in Cairo. Oh, my God.
Tell me about that.
In a nutshell, I am working on a concert that is planned for the 4th of November at the Pyramids, which is a collaboration with some amazing Egyptian musicians. So it's a kind of East-West collaboration. And we're also, like I love to do, supporting children in Cairo. In this case, they're children who come from very underprivileged backgrounds and who are brought into this amazing arts program, literally by the social services, because they're kind of emotionally traumatized. Maybe they've lost both their parents. Kind of horrible things have happened to them, and they often don't speak, and then they're brought into this amazing arts program where they find their voice, which is really what I feel is one of the amazing ways that we as a human race can really help to heal ourselves and our planet moving forward is to find that way of self-expression, because then, and that can really lead us to kind of living the life of our dreams. And that is totally what all of my music mentorship programs are about. So I spent 3 weeks there meeting the kids, meeting all kinds of partners in the project, and feeling the magic of Egypt. And I hope some of you might consider coming. We've got an amazing package where you can go on a Nile cruise and come for a week to Egypt and come to my concert. And it's going to be amazing.
You'll have to tell me about that. I'd like to learn about the package, but I want to talk about you because I recently saw you perform in Peekskill, New York.
Yeah.
And it was, as usual, your performances are amazing. This one was titled Irradiance. And what I was touched by is that you took children from the local school and you actually worked with them, and they were featured within the performance. And I just think that doing something like that is really giving back of yourself. There's another artist that has passed away. You might remember Brian Delma Taylor. I remember running into him one morning, early one Sunday morning, and he was on his way to go play piano, volunteered for a church service for some underprivileged people in Peekskill. And he said to me, I never forgot it. He said to me, as artists, we're really compelled to give back because we have a gift that no one else has. So it's really part of our obligation for being gifted by the luck of the draw to have the genetic capability and the mental capability to do certain things that most people can't do. And so it's our duty, he said, to give back. And this is exactly what you're doing. Now talk to me about Irradiance and how you came up with the title.
1000%. Oh God, let me just say, I feel Brian's spirit is with us. He was the flute player in my band for many years. And in fact, even in Egypt, I played a piece that he and I wrote together to this incredible, really well-known musician in Egypt. And we were talking about the kind of instruments that we can add, like traditional Egyptian instruments that we can add to this piece. Now, I played him a recording of the piece years after Brian had passed, so there's no flute in the recording, but Brian had helped me write it. And the guy came up, this Ahmed Omar, this wonderful Egyptian musician, he said, I think we should have flute in this piece. He talked about the Egyptian traditional flute called the kawala, but it was amazing. I'm like, he knew that Brian was just there. Anyway, so thank you, Brian, for being with us. Irradiance. So it's something that I didn't even know, that actually giving students an opportunity to learn a new skill, to get mentored by professional musicians or to enhance their skill and then perform on stage right next to, surrounded by amazing musicians, it's just life-changing for them. It's life-changing. You could have students who were struggling and they get to maybe go on stage and play a solo and you've got 1,000 people and they give you a standing ovation. It's gone from I'm hopeless and I can't do anything to, you know what? I can do this. I just did that. I just went on stage and look how they reacted. And sometimes, this kid who all the other kids are like not nice to, that he'll come off stage and all his friends will surround him with now they're so impressed with him, and life changes overnight for these kids. And the show we just did, I guess one of the main opportunities we give to kids learning classical, they're learning an orchestral instrument. In this case, we had a side-by-side orchestra and we had choirs. But, in the orchestra, all these students are learning violin, cello, flute, clarinet, all those instruments, and they're playing classical music. And a lot of them, first of all, they might like classical music, but they might really be really into other music. And they don't get the opportunity to realize that they can play whatever they want on their instrument. Their instrument is their voice. Talking about finding a voice, it's up to them to realize that, we give them this opportunity. They can play the music they love. They can make up their own music. They can write music. So I come along and I just am that. And it was amazing. I was talking to one of our donors, because all of this is made possible by donations. And thank you all. All these programs we put on are, to pay all the artists. We have 35 artists we employed in the last show. Thank you all. He was like, Daisy, in a way, we could think that the students come along and think, I want to be like Daisy. But no, they come along to our programs and you know what they come away with? I can be myself. I can be whoever I want to be. This is about self-expression. So this whole program, we played maybe like 12 different musical styles. You know, they learned how to play reggae and how to play folk music and how to play jazz and how to play funk and how to play pop and rock, you know, all this stuff they'd never done. And that will change their lives forever. You know, we've had students who were in the programs 5 years ago, and now they've released their first album where they've written their own music, and they never thought they could write their own music. So this is the core to what we do. You can be, have, do whatever you want in this life. You really can. And the things that seem most challenging are probably, you know, the thing you're going to end up doing.
It's interesting that you say that. Someone actually said that to me earlier this week, and I was saying, I can't believe I'm doing this. And they said, well, the thing, and it's the same thing you just said. But I believe it's true. It might be something in the universal code. It's going to find you at some point. So you're very much an empowering person.
Yes.
I'm looking at your work, and I always look at the way you perform. You just put your whole heart and soul into it, unabashed. You don't hold back. And what happened, what I saw on stage, is that these children were beaming. But what was very impressive to me, and because I'm an educator as well, and I don't do educate the way you do for the same thing, but what I could see is they were so prepared. They were so prepared. You know, a lot of times you see shows and there's kids on them and they do their thing, and they might be getting like special lessons at home because their parents have the means for that. But I could see the preparedness in them. So what was it like getting those kids in this show called Irradiance? I'll tell you how much it means to me. There you are.
By the way, that photo was taken when we did that same side-by-side orchestra at Lincoln Center, which was amazing.
Really? Okay. See, I found the right card, you know? So what was it like teaching them?
I have to say, it is it's kind of a slight challenge, because normally when we get to the first rehearsal, I worry because they don't sound so good, you know? I went out for a drink afterwards with some of the other mentors, and I was like, are we going to be able to do this, you know? Because it really didn't sound that good. And they said, Daisy, we're going to work with our students. And you know what? I think you're going to be surprised at the next rehearsal. We had 3 weeks in between the first and second rehearsal, which was on purpose, because I knew, even I'm trying to prepare myself, I always worry every time, am I crazy trying to do this, you know? But then 3 weeks later, I could have cried. I mean, they had practiced so much. So we give them this inspiration. We make them realize we're on a stage with 1,000 people coming to watch. You know, we're going to have a lighting design. We've got incredible professional musicians surrounding you. We're going to be, you know, taping this. And it makes them go, okay, I better get my act together. And that's what we're about. It's like that moment of you give yourself the challenge, which is far above anything you've done. And probably the kids themselves were like, oh my God, can I do this? And you know what? They all dedicated themselves to it. All the mentors dedicated themselves to it. And that rehearsal 3 weeks later, which was 1 week before the show, blew my mind. And then on top of that, the next week, the week before the show and the show itself, they just rise. They rise to a level they've never played at before. And you know what? Now they've done it. Now that's their new level. And then they can rise up from there.
I could feel that they took themselves very, very seriously. Because you know what you mean when you first go in with kids, you know, they might not be taking the situation seriously. They're there. Their mother wants them there. Their father likes it that they're there, and they're there. And so they're not going to get in trouble, you know, whatever the way a kid thinks. But they took themselves so seriously.
I know.
That show.
Yeah.
It was astounding. And the voices and even the people that the diamonds in the rough that are within that crowd of people. And, you know, I would sit there and I think to myself, oh, that child's going to be a big star.
Yeah.
Or that kid's going to be singing this in his sleep tonight.
That's right.
Or he's going to sing this song to his first kid. You know, those are the things that go through my crazy mind. But I have to congratulate you for that.
When they're in the middle of the experience, it can be slightly daunting to them. And I looked around, you know, at some of the kids, and they were really quite serious, like, you know, trying to make sure they're playing everything right. And I'm like, you know, don't worry about it. I'm like going up to them and jamming with them, and they're kind of a bit shy and a bit nervous. But you know what? They've just experienced something which sometimes takes a while to really make that deep inner transformation. Transformation, can happen quickly, but normally only because it's had a lot of time to prepare. Transformation is normally a process. So they'll go home and they probably will never have seen, maybe there's more violinists now out there who are really playing different styles, who are really having fun and totally creating their own style, like many more than ever before, which is pretty exciting. But still they'll have gone home and they'll have been on stage with me, with somebody who's just having fun, who's like playing all this stuff like the highest classical level when I get to Vivaldi, but then on the other hand I'm rocking out with my electric violin 5 minutes later, and it just makes them go, wow, that's possible, and I was just there playing with her and the band and all these other amazing musicians, and it's life-changing. Yeah.
Well, you put your whole body into it. That's what I'm impressed about, because a lot of times, I remember when I played the piano, the violin in school, it was kind of dull, just like make sure you play the notes, But if I had a teacher like you, I think I'd still be playing the violin. But that's a different subject, different interview. I'm just impressed by the fact that you put your whole body into the rhythm of it. The kids seem to absorb your energy.
That's right.
And that's an ideal quantum learning situation from my point of view.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. It's a quantum learning situation. Beautifully put.
And I thank you so much for sharing that. Now, you have some shows coming up, a gig you have coming up, I believe, on July 9th. You're going to be performing in Manhattan in New York City. Now, the venue will be a little different from what I understand. You're going to be performing at the Chelsea, let me get it now, the Chelsea Table and Stage. Now, that sounds like a really interesting nightclub.
Yeah, it's not exactly a nightclub. It's like a really kind of upscale. I was going to use the word exclusive, but I don't want people to feel like, it's just beautiful. It opened in October last year, and it's just like state-of-the-art sound and light, and it's gorgeous. And I'm playing there with my band, and we are also giving 2 students who are both, let me see, one of them is 16 years old. I think the other one is maybe they're both 16, about the age, 2 beautiful young or teenage girls who are giving this opportunity to perform their own songs. They're both amazing, and so just come out and support. My band's going to be incredible. We're doing the Who's Who. We did this album of arrangements of amazing songs by the Who. So we're going to do the Who's Who show, also our own like hits. And these 2 girls are going to have this opportunity to perform in New York City, with an amazing band, which will be life-changing for them. So, yeah, come out and support this fantastic show.
Yeah, go there. Be there or be square. That's what my dad would say. I'm just impressed also with the fact that you can switch gears the way you do. And to see a performer like you that's so energetic on stage, I mean, you're energetic whenever I see you. I can see you going into the post office and the energy is the same, and it's really very good. But, you come from a country, you come from the UK, so you're actually British. And I often think of British as being a little bit like staid. They're very composed, and you kind of broke the mold for that. You definitely hit this. I don't know what it is. I don't know what word to use, but you don't exemplify that. You're your own person. And it's just amazing that you can have this energy and then you bring it to these children. And I, in my heart, really pray that they're positively affected by it and that they can carry that with them into their life and complete whatever path they're going to, or just continue on the path that they're on. So what are your plans next? Now, you just came back from Egypt. Yep. And I know that there's a date out there in November. Yep. What's going on in November?
So November, we're just checking with the venue that they can do. We kind of looked at tons of venues. We looked at all different scenarios for this concert. We've decided it's me and my band plus these other about 5 incredible Egyptian musicians. So it'll be an East-West collaboration. And we're also going to have some children taking part, these ones that I mentioned from this arts program, and a couple of students who are actually kind of amazing soloists. And we're looking at November 4th, fingers crossed that is the date that this particular venue we've chosen, this one, can do. So in about a week, we'll know. It's taken me weeks and months, honestly, to get this thing together. My team said, let's go and do something at the pyramids. And I was like, I've never even been to Egypt. I don't know anybody there. How are we going to do it? But, months later, I went there and just met people. I met people like in a hotel at breakfast who were the lady who's producing the whole concert, who's done this tons of times. I met her over breakfast. Literally, I was like, hey, you want to have breakfast with me? So I just attracted into my life people from the television stations, people who are amazing musicians, lighting, all the things we need there. And it's going to be an absolutely mind-blowingly beautiful show. And it's at the Pyramids. And, people, of course, are all in awe about the Pyramids, so am I. But when you actually go there, there's nothing like it. Like, there's nothing like it. It's like a kind of, bliss. I mean, it's like peace and joy and all that stuff all at the same time, just to be next to them, and awe, and it's amazing. So it brings me chills to think that I'm going to be playing this concert right there, right next to them. It's such an honor, like beyond.
Is there electricity in the pyramids? I got to ask you. Can you plug in things?
I think that the pyramid, this is my personal view, and I've done maybe 200 hours of research, but that's nothing compared to a lot of people who put their lives into this. So it's just my personal view right now, after listening to all the different theories and being there, and also meeting people who live there and asking them what they think. I think that the pyramids are much older, than people say, I think more than 3,000 years. And I think they were actually built by... there's been different races of people coming onto our planet. And back then, maybe 30,000 years ago, I don't really know the dates, the people coming onto our planet to really help us had a very, very high consciousness. In other words, extremely high love consciousness and understanding far beyond what we normally have in our everyday world, both for technology and consciousness, because they're very connected. The more we open our mind to possibility, the more we can actually open our mind to higher levels of thought in every way and higher levels of understanding. So potentially these people at that time, the pharaohs, really ancient pharaohs, had abilities to levitate and connect with the consciousness of the whole, of every single thing. Every single thing, the chairs, the tables, everything in this room has a consciousness. I mean, it's an energy level, and if it's possible to connect with those things and also levitate them. So a lot of people feel like the people around there, they're like, Daisy, this wasn't built by slaves. This wasn't built by people, blood and sweat. This was built by people who had high levels of knowledge and technology and were able to levitate stones, And it's funny because I was like, I couldn't even believe the people around there were telling me that. They lived there. I said, that's what I feel,
Yeah.
So it houses in it, knowledge. It houses knowledge. It tells us, even in my own life, it's asking me to rise above the level of knowledge and the level of the ways I do things in my own life. I feel it's challenging me. It's challenging me to do even I went there and I thought I need to have other people to help me. I mean, I need a team, but I brought other people who really initially weren't interested in the project, but they were very famous. And, I felt like the pyramid saying to me, Daisy, you can do this. I try to say to the students, you can do this. And they had to tell me as well, I can do this. So now we are there and we're going to be, producing this incredible concert. And yeah, I can do this.
Yeah, everything is possible. And I think that it's really fantastic that you're going to be there. So did you choose Egypt? And I want to ask you also about your band traveling with you.
Yeah, my band, of course, are coming with me. So actually, a couple of people on my team. I mean, we just produced the concert. Do you remember we did that concert on Bannerman Island, which was amazing? And by the way, everybody check it out. It's called Illuminance on Bannerman Island. And we, in a pandemic, October 2020, when there were no concerts, we were the only ticketed music event allowed in the whole of New York State. Basically, Bannerman Island got this special permission to be able to produce concerts there because they can control the audience, so you can't easily get there. So we did these concerts, but that island has no electricity. I mean, we performed a miracle, because everybody just gave their everything to it. And so we formed a very close connection with not just the musicians of my band, but the lighting crew, the sound crew, the film crew. And they were like, Daisy, let's do something else together. Let's go to the pyramids. I was like, pyramids? I can't imagine anything more, crazy or whatever. But different people on the team were like, look, my costume designer, Jane Wilson Marquis, she found some she's very into hieroglyphics. And so she's painted some hieroglyphics on this dress she's making for me for the concert, which are all about love and peace and empowerment and just beautiful. Oh my God. And somebody else on the lighting team was like, well, I did the lighting for Yanni, let's do it. And somebody else was like, I'm going to Cairo, come with me. And I know some people there. And so in the end, my team gave me the idea and then I ran with it. And then I couldn't get it out of my mind. I was obsessed with it. And that's why I've been there now 4 times. And, it's not easy. Well, I don't want to say it's not easy, but we're going to do it. We're going to do it.
Well, you're working with your heart and soul.
Yeah, I'm not stopping until it's like done, and it's going to be amazing. And even people who can't come to Egypt, we're going to make a beautiful film, really beautiful film, so everybody will be able to see it and feel it. And I want to spread that magic of the pyramids to you, to all of you.
There's a mystique to the pyramids. I've heard many theories about how they were actually built. Everything from slaves built it to they really were built by UFOs that just dropped them down. I don't know which one to believe. I guess whichever one is true, I'll take it. I think the UFO thing.
Well, definitely the idea. When I said people coming onto the planet, I mean, yeah, extraterrestrials coming onto the planet to really help us. I mean, we're interconnected with so many different races around the whole world. I mean, some people are not, open to that. And honestly, I think the truth is wherever you're at. There's no ultimate truth of anything in life. That's what I think. The truth is wherever you're at. Whatever you resonate with in that moment is the truth. I agree with you. I think it was actually built by knowledge coming from, other species that are just far ahead of us, but they're far ahead in love, like high levels of consciousness. And they look at us with all our wars and they're like, okay, guys,
get it together.
Guys and ladies, yeah, come on, let's move past this, which I think we will. I believe the human race will absolutely move past that. And my own contribution is all about, as I said, like that avenue of self-expression.
Well, I think it's wonderful that you're working with the children like that. Now, what's next? You're going to be doing the show on November 4th, and I believe that it will happen the way you imagine. So between now and then, what's on your agenda?
So I've got a few more shows in New York City. I've got July 11th, July 9th, July 11th. And basically I'm getting, I'm doing some more tours. We're going to go to Mexico again. I hope we're going to go to Europe again. And creating this whole show, but we're also creating a next show for next year at the Paramount Theatre, which is again working with Sarah Bracey White, who's an amazing, that incredible African-American author originally from South Carolina, now she lives in Ossining. So we're doing another one of her stories. So there's a creative process going on there. And I've got a new booking agent with my band. I'm signed to a record company, so we're making a new record and just getting ready for lots more tours coming up.
So how can one get in touch with you? I know that you have a website, daisyjoplin.com. You also have Daisy Joplin Foundation. Maybe people want to donate to that since it's to help people, to help children in particular.
I would love that. So daisyjoplinfoundation.org and DAISYJOPLING, Daisy Joplin Foundation.org. There's a donate button there. We've served, over 8,000 children. We have a free strings program in Peekskill, which is Arts 10566 is their program, and we help fund it.
With Wilfredo Morel.
Oh my God.
Those are his kids, he says. Those are my kids.
Those are his kids. So yeah, Ovation Strings. And then we do workshops. We have mentorship. We have beatboxing workshops, songwriting workshops, like just anything which is going to enhance those kids to, feel like they can really express themselves and be themselves. And, it's just my belief. I believe that if every one of us was really doing what we love, why would we want to go and kill people? Like, why would we, want to control anybody else? Once we can control ourselves, that's the most exciting thing, be and do whatever we want. Like, yeah, that's the way forward, I think.
I think that it's such a beautiful thing. And after you finish the show in November, I know that life just goes on. And as we're talking, I realize I've seen the 3 shows that you mentioned. I've seen all 3. I saw that one too. I just want to encourage the audience, if they ever have the opportunity to see Daisy Joplin perform, please go. You'll not be the same when you leave one of her performances, only because you're going to feel the love. You're going to feel this incredible creative vibration that you have, that you give so much of yourself. I don't know where you find the energy, but I think that happens with artists in general. We can just go on and on if we need to.
That's right. And I meditate every morning, for an hour, getting on for an hour, do yoga every morning. So it's all about coming from our own stillness.
From our own stillness.
Yeah.
There's magic in the stillness.
Yes.
And so you're going to work with the Egyptian children. And when you come back from this trip, I want to interview you again because I want to find out how that was. And you said that it will be recorded so people will be able to see it even if they cannot travel there.
Yes.
So if someone wants to keep following you, and I encourage people to do this, You can go to DaisyDroplingFoundation.org.
Yep.
Okay, and donate to this. This is an excellent cause. And if you ever have the opportunity to see Daisy perform, just go. Don't question it. Just go. It'll be so worth it. And then you'll become a fan like me.
Thank you.
and the thousands of others that you have. I thank you so much, Daisy, for coming to the show. I could talk to you forever. That's why I will have you back on.
So appreciate being here. It's amazing. Have you mentioned that it's your 100th show?
It's the 100th episode of the Energy Stoners Cafe. And what happens with our TV show is the audio gets taken by the incredible James Brooks, and he edits it first into a podcast.
Yeah.
And it goes all over the world. And the TV show is local, and then it goes on YouTube. And with that, I'll say thank you so much, Daisy.
Thank you. And please, Facebook. It's amazing how important it is to get all these, followers nowadays. It really helps with touring and with everything. So be great. I want everything: LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. So please.
Social media is important because it does bring us together.
Yes, it does.
If we continue to be nice to each other.
That's right.
So I'll say goodbye to Daisy for now.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Jim.
And I'll say goodnight to the audience. And thank you again for coming to visit. And I'll see you on the podcast at Energy Stoners Cafe. So for now, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Energy Stoners Cafe.
Are you looking for an internet talk radio station for your podcast? Look no further. At the helm of Passionate World Talk Radio are two women that want to provide a spot for you and your podcast to be heard. There are many other places for your podcast, but PWTR has the audience. You will not be disappointed. Our station has been on the internet for the past 16 years. Call us for more information. 484-364-1032 or text Jeannie White, station manager at THECONNECTSHOW@gmail.com for podcast show details. Thank you for listening to Passionate World Talk Radio. You can listen to this program all over again by going over to https://passionateworldtalkradio.com. You can also hear it on Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Alexa, AMFM247.com every Tuesday evening between 8 and 9 p.m. YouTube, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, and all the other podcast directories one can find on the internet.